Welcome back to Daruma Dojo Dialogues. I'm here with Matt Guffey. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So thank you for having a conversation with us. And I just wanted to hang out, talk. And first I want to start off by asking you a question. Are you born and raised in the Bay Area?
I was born in Sacramento, so
okay.
not Bay Area, but raised on the East Coast. So I'm not born and raised,
Okay.
but my wife hates it when I say I'm from California because I was only here for like 3 months before I moved away. So.
Oh dang! I didn't even know you were born in Sacramento. I knew you were raised somewhere else. So
Yeah.
You were born in Sacramento, and then you moved to
North Carolina, then Virginia, and then I bounced around a little bit between and during college, and then after college moved back out here. And then I've been here now just over 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you like the East Coast
I love the East Coast. I do miss it. I don't miss summers. Summers are really humid and really rainy. But no, the East Coast was always good to me, and I enjoy going back there and visiting. But it is hard to beat. I say this as it rains here in California today, but 300 some days a year of 75 and sunny. So, and obviously I've been here for 10 years, so I do love it enough to stay. So.
Yeah. So when you were in the East Coast, you got into certain sports when you were growing up, like?
Yeah, I played a bunch of sports growing up. I played soccer, football, and then eventually settled on hockey when I was 12, which is relatively late. And then grew up, I guess spent the rest of my childhood playing, and then played junior hockey in Texas and Colorado. First Colorado, then Texas, and then went to school in Massachusetts to play, and then finished my college career there, and then came out here to work for the Sharks, which is kind of, I guess, brings us to close to today.
Yeah. So I know you played hockey, because that was like never a very, very popular sport out here in California. When I was growing up, people played roller hockey, but not really ice hockey, and so that was really popular in North Dakota and Virginia? North Carolina?
North Carolina, Virginia. North Carolina, it is more popular now, but when I was growing up, it wasn't necessarily a popular sport. We were fortunate enough to have started playing when, for those of you who follow hockey, Alexander Ovechkin was drafted by the Washington Capitals, and he's now the greatest goal scorer that ever lived. And when he was drafted, there was a lot of buzz, and so hockey started to blow up. And then he obviously played really well and scored a bunch of points and won a bunch of awards, and that helped grow the game in Virginia. And now I would say like the DC metro area is there are a lot more players coming from that area that make it to higher levels. So it's grown quite a bit. It wasn't huge when I started though.
When I was a kid, the only hockey player that I knew was Wayne Gretzky.
That is pretty common. It's pretty common for a lot of people to only know that player,
He was on the LA Kings?
First Edmonton Oilers, and then he was traded to the LA Kings, and that actually, his trade to the LA Kings really changed the landscape of the sport, because then professional teams started popping up in like non-traditional markets like Texas, San Jose. A bunch of new teams started cropping up because he kind of popularized the sport in a non-hockey market.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
And then you played college hockey?
At Worcester State University.
Did you ever, I imagine you had aspirations to play professionally?
I did, yeah. And I had no idea how many levels there were to that game. It's, to play even a game of college hockey at that level is like less than 1% of 1% of 1% of people make it to that level, which is great. I'm very proud of that. However, the amount that make it from there to the professional level and play any meaningful number of games is so infinitesimally small. It'd be really hard to quantify, but there are not a lot of people make it to that level. It's a few hundred in the whole world who play at that level. I had aspirations to, obviously that didn't happen, but I'm really happy doing what I'm doing, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, I used to want to be a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So I kind of have it, and I played college baseball, but then, you know, things change the path, and I'm very happy where I'm at too. So I think everything, sometimes, you know, some people might say things happen for a reason, or one thing leads to another. So, but I just imagine like growing up as a kid, like for me, that's all I could see. I had no other, people are like, well, maybe you should think of a more realistic goal. And I'm like, no, this is what I'm thinking about. I want to be a professional baseball player. I'm going to play at this team. I'm going to be this position. So I had a very fixed mindset. And I don't know, I find like it's how discouraging for an adult to tell a kid, like, you know what, like, they tell you the statistics. Only a small percentage do that. You should probably think about doing a career that's, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think to make it to that level in anything, in any realm, could be business, it could be sports, whatever, I think you do have to have that like very laser focused approach. Otherwise nobody would make it. Just like wouldn't. So the people who do make it also think like that, you know? And so I think you have to see it that way if you're going to make it. And if you're hedging your bets and like, you know, putting your energy in like multiple different places, then there's no way that you would get there. So yeah, no, I think that's totally normal to think that way.
Then when did you think that, okay, maybe professional hockey is not going to be for me? I'm glad I made it to college. I learned a lot from it, and you made a career choice, like to go straight in. I know you went into strength training pretty soon. Was that like an immediate career choice, or did you think about being a CPA first?
No, it was, I think it was a little more gradual. So I played my freshman year at Worcester State, got cut, was going to transfer to St. Michael's College to play there. The coach who recruited me to transfer there got fired, and then that all fell apart. And so I finished my college career really came to an end like kind of abruptly, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I had to finish school.
Yeah.
I picked up French as a second major, went and like lived in Quebec City for a little while, and like started coaching hockey, you know, just at camps first. I mean, I guess I had coached hockey in one way, shape, or form since I was 16. Like I started coaching like private lessons, and you know, I coached an adult clinic that my dad was in, funnily enough. It was like weird being kind of in charge of
as a kid.
As a kid, like I was 16, 17 years old, and like I'm telling them what to do and all that stuff. So I've been coaching for a long time, and I knew in my heart of hearts that if I didn't play professionally, I'd want to coach professionally. And if I didn't coach, I'd want to manage, or I'd want something to do with the sport.
Yeah.
And so when my college career ended, I was like, okay, I got to finish school. And if I'm after school, like I want to find a way to coach, teach, be involved in the sport in some way. And so my plan was to teach at a private school out east and coach hockey as like an assistant, and then just slowly phase out what I teach and phase in more coaching.
Gotcha.
Until that was like my full-time job. And I didn't know how I was going to do that, but that was kind of how I saw it in my head.
That was the vision.
Yeah, and then I had an epiphany of sorts and was like, I don't want to be in a classroom. I had like started as a substitute teacher just to like get a feel for it. And I understand like being a substitute is way different than having your own class.
Yeah, were you teaching what age group?
Everything, elementary all the way to high school. I did less elementary and middle school. Middle school was the absolute worst. That was the worst experience of my life. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So mostly high school. I ended up substitute teaching at my old high school, and with like, so I'm there in the teacher's lounge with like my old teachers, because it wasn't that long after I graduated.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool, but you know, the one experience that really forced me down a different path, I was sitting there with my 11th grade English teacher, and I was like, "Do you love it?" And she said, and I quote, "Yeah." And I was like, that's not selling it.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's all I need to hear. Like, you're a career teacher. You've been doing this for a long, long time. And if that's how you react, that's not what I want for myself.
I just imagine most teachers are just super jaded.
I mean, that was the impression that I got.
They just like they want to come in and change lives and help people, but then, especially when they're in a system like a public school or they probably get jaded real quick.
100%. And so in that moment, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I had there are lots of other little details that are unimportant to this story, but very quickly I was like, okay, I just want to coach. And I happened to be at an event, like a teaching event, and I kind of like walked out of it. I was like, I'm done with this. I just want to coach. And I was in California at the time, and I just Googled like hockey Bay Area, and the Junior Sharks came up. And so I emailed them. They emailed me back. I gotten I don't know what they call it, zip car or whatever. Mm-hmm. You just like walk up, open the car, drive away, which is like, that was news to me. I'd never seen that on the East Coast. That doesn't happen out there. Maybe it does now, but technology tends to like accumulate here and then spread outward. And so I like got in a zip car and I drove down to San Jose, interviewed, and then I got the job.
Nice.
So I moved out here, a few months later, and
What were you doing in California in the first place?
I was it was a teacher placement conference. So there's an agency that helps match prospective teachers with schools who are looking to hire.
Gotcha.
And in the middle of that conference, I was just like, this is not what I want to do. And so, and I had come out here. I was also visiting a friend. My parents had encouraged me. They were like, you're born in Sacramento. We used to go to the Bay all the time. If you get a chance, you should go. Like, you should see kind of like where we were when we, kind of were growing up and doing all that. And so, I had like made an excuse to come out here, and like the teacher placement conference was also out here. So I was like staying with a friend,
make it like going
to this conference. I was just like, I'll just make it a trip, hang out here for a week and see it. And then I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is really cool. This is way different than the East Coast. And
How old were you?
I would have been 22 or 23 maybe. And I loved it. I fell in love with the place. I was like, I'd think of any reason I could to come back out here. And so when I found the Junior Sharks and, got to talking to Mike Janda, who ended up being, one of my best friends, who's in my wedding, he kind of walked me through the process and the lay of the land and how things work. And really, he and his family took me in and were very open and accommodating, and like very, very much like understood that I was 3,000 miles away from my nearest relative or my nearest like close relative. I think we have some relatives who are in California, but they're like very distant.
Sure.
And he just like made it a home for me. And that was where it started. So I actually didn't get into strength training until much later to kind of finish the question. I had, I guess, if I can go back for just a second, I was very fortunate to have a lot of really good strength coaches growing up. Like starting hockey when I was 12 years old, I wasn't the most skilled, so I needed to do something else to differentiate myself.
Right.
If I was going to make it to the next level, I had to do more. And so I like found the weight room, and I had a series of really, really strong, as people, strength coaches. And they kind of inspired me. They were like, I thought to myself, well, if I weren't involved in hockey directly, an indirect way that I could do it would be in the weight room. Like, I loved it in there. They were such great people, and just overall very, very good experience. And I saw firsthand like how strength training could help somebody, reach their goals. And so
that's where the seed was planted.
Yeah. And so it took a long time to come to fruition, but came out here, worked for the Junior Sharks for 4 or 5 years, and then COVID happened and shook everybody. and we were all like, what the heck is going on? And I had to find a way to like make a living despite the rink being closed and gyms being closed, everything being closed. And I never thought in a million years I would say this sentence, but I was doing like hockey lessons on Zoom, which like, how could you do that?
Yeah.
So it was like
So
me,
strange.
a screen. Yeah, it was so surreal. And I will say it made me a better coach in that I had to be very precise with what I was saying. I couldn't be there to like move people around or do things.
Yeah.
And so I needed to find a way to make these lessons worthwhile for these families. Excuse me. For these families. And so what I started to do was, okay, like the first 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to do just all hockey stuff. And then the last 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to do some kind of workout that I can like monitor and make sure you're doing. Because when I was at the rink, I would tell people, I would say, hey, you need to do stuff off the ice. If you want to be able to do more on the ice, it's just other stuff that you have to do. And then they would never do it because I couldn't hold them accountable to it. And now I'm through the computer screen in your living room or in your garage. We're going to do it. You're going to do the work. And so they would do the work, and then like a few months later I started to hear things like, I couldn't do this before, but now I can. And I was like, ding, like that's the thing. That's what I do. And
because you knew how valuable that extra training was to that sport or hockey or sports in general.
Just sports in general,
Especially if you want to take it to the next level.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's where you had the light bulb moment where you realized that was how important it was for, athletes to have the training outside of the ice rink or the jiu-jitsu mat or the basketball court, and then you're like, I think I just found my niche.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And so I was living with my then girlfriend, now wife, and her roommate. Her roommate is a trainer, and she kind of helped light the path to getting certified and learning about all this stuff and how to do it like the legit way. Yeah,
you already had the skills in the raw skills.
Yeah. Like I had the raw coaching skills. Like I can communicate an idea to somebody, in a very simple way, something that like resonates with them and gets them to take action.
And you had your experience in the weight room and
correct. Yeah. And so got certified, started working with one of my former players who was like 18, 19 years old, looking to like make it to the next level. And so I just started programming for him, and then he would send me video and I would critique it, and then we go from there. And then he recommended another former player, so then now I've got 2 hockey players, and then 2 turned into 4 and 4 turned into 8.
That's cool. And when you trained them, was it online at first?
At first online, and then as things started to become less controversial, we'll say, because I know there was at the time a lot of controversy around gyms operating during that time. There was one that was near my home. I started renting space from them, and it was like it's a gym that rents space to other personal trainers. So like there were 3 or 4 of us who would rent the space, and we weren't always in there at the same time. Typically there were only 2, maybe 3 of us in there at the same time with one person at a time. It was like very, very spread out and totally above board and all that stuff. And started working with a few people there, and then it just started to explode. And then I realized pretty quickly that I couldn't build a business off of the hockey players because they leave. Right? They train over the summer and then they go to their respective teams wherever they're going to go. That often come equipped with their own like strength training programs that they do in season. And so
these are mostly these are professional hockey players.
Not professional, junior hockey players, AAA hockey players, junior hockey players, college hockey players. And so they would leave at the end of the summer, and then all of a sudden my business would be nothing.
They go to college, or they go play minor league. Whatever. It was kind of seasonal.
And so I was like,
how many months did it take you to figure that out?
At the end of my first summer, I figured it out. I was like,
where's everyone going?
They're all gone. All of my revenue's gone. What do I do? And so I was working with a business coach at the time who, he correctly was like, where do you like to spend your time? And I was like, at that point, I think I was a purple belt. And I had been on the mats, every day for 6 years or whatever. And or I guess not quite 6 years, four and a half, something like that.
Sure.
And
you started jiu-jitsu here in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
At Cayos?
Yeah, in 2015, September of 2015, I believe. No, it was March of 2016. That's what it was. I moved here September of 2015, and then March of 2016 I started.
Gotcha.
So I had already been on the mats pretty much every day for.
That was your hobby.
Yeah.
Enjoying it, loving it. And then you're teaching hockey, and then COVID, and then strength training for hockey, and then you had a business coach already?
Yeah, really early on.
That's cool.
Which is in my opinion, pretty progressive in the gym owner world. I know a lot of people who own gyms who just fly by the seat of their pants and try to figure it out as they go, which I don't know why, but people do it.
I remember when we had a conversation and you were mentioning that you were part of a mastermind group, and was that kind of the same thing you're talking about?
Yes, that was the same one. Yep. Yep. And he asked me where I like spending my time. I told him I love being on the mats. And he was like, do those people get hurt? And I was like, all the time. I was like, all the time. He was like, there's your new client. I was like, all right. Cool. So I started working with couple of the coaches over there at CTA, and they came over and were working with me. And then after they started coming, then more jiu-jitsu people started to show up. And then that's where I really found my niche.
Yeah.
Was in helping just grapplers in general, but jiu-jitsu athletes specifically.
And then when did you start your brick and mortar?
So I rented space from that gym for maybe 6 to 9 months.
At that point, you already had your business?
Yeah.
You had it prior, or kind of?
I had started it kind of conjunction with.
Yeah.
And after about 9 months, I moved into a warehouse space. So the warehouse was several million square feet, and my little sliver was 600 square feet.
And this is not where you're at now?
No, this was kind of near the rink, down South San Jose area. And so I was in the warehouse space for another 9 months.
And you had your own equipment? You had to buy purchase inventory?
When I moved into the warehouse, yes. When I was in the original gym that I rented space out of, no, they had everything that we needed.
Right.
And so I didn't really need to invest in a bunch. But when I moved into the warehouse space, I had to
That's a pretty good startup cost,
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. And then
jiu-jitsu, you need the mats, but if you're a strength training coach, I'm sure you can get by with minimal equipment, but eventually it starts to stack up, right? I see your place now, you guys got all the stuff, right? But you're like, oh, well, all I need is a bench and a rack or something probably to start, some weights, and then you get the bands, and it just starts adding. You probably have a whole list of things you want. Still.
Yeah, I still have a whole list of things that I want. I have a really long wish list for sure. But yeah.
What did you start with?
Just started with a rack, some plates, a barbell, a trap bar, and my in-laws had some adjustable dumbbells that they gifted me that were helpful. And then I did have I think I had kettlebells also to start, and a bike.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
No.
And some minimal bands, but nothing crazy.
But you can get a lot done with that stuff, and it helps you, I think, be creative.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you do have to get creative, because at the end of the day, human tissue, responds to tension, not necessarily weight. Weight is one way, adding weight is one way to create tension, but it's not the only way. And so, with minimal equipment, you have to find ways to create a lot of tension, enough tension to elicit physiological adaptation. And so, tempo is another way that you can do that. There are a million ways that you could do it.
Is tempo pulsing?
It could be pulsing, could be just slowing down the rep. You could do a 1 minute long push-up, just one push-up, one rep, it would crush you, right?
Sounds horrible.
It is, yeah, it's absolutely miserable. Yeah, you could do the same thing with like a pull-up or something.
Right.
So like, you know, like I said, tension is the language that we use to speak to tissue. So if you have minimal equipment, like we did at that point, then you have to, like you said, get creative and think outside the box in ways that you can create that tension so that people can get better ultimately.
So I know that your business, the name is Grapplers Strength Performance.
Grappling Strength and Performance, close.
Grappling Strength and Performance.
Yeah, or GSP for short.
GSP, yeah. So I was trying to GSP,
Yeah.
Grappling Strength Performance.
Yep.
But before, what was your name before?
Before that was Victory Submission Strength, and before that was Victory High Performance.
Gotcha.
So it was like many different iterations, but this is the one that I think we're sticking with.
Yeah, no, Victory High Performance. That was the first, and you had the bull as your logo.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Well, I wanted to, it's like the name itself was meant to encompass any athlete who wanted to improve their performance.
Yeah.
Any athlete who wanted to
We're all
operate at a high
searching for
level.
victory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that was the angle that I was taking. The bull is, I think, a really strong character, something, you know, an animal that like exemplifies speed and power and strength and can like, you know, do all of those things, all the things, you know, many attributes that are highly touted in the athletic realm. And so that's how I landed on that. And then like the color scheme, black and red, like that makes sense. It feels like jiu-jitsu, right? So I kind of was like already shading toward the jiu-jitsu niche or the grappling niche. And so
Same color scheme.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's very, very common.
Yeah.
And then we switched it from Victory High Performance to Victory Submission Strength because that was when I really started to lean into the jiu-jitsu niche. I wanted to like only speak to jiu-jitsu athletes, and I didn't want to get rid of the Victory name because I thought it had become like attached to the business. And, you know, submission strength felt right at the time. It was like build the strength to like submit your opponents, I guess, was the thought process. And then, but then I got sick of explaining myself because people would say, what do you do? I'd say, I own a gym. And they'd say, what's it called? And I would say Victory Submission Strength. And they'd be like, what's that? Yeah. Like, what does that mean?
Well, if you're not a grappler and you hear submission, you're like, what am I submitting to?
Right.
Am I giving up? Or, you know, like, I can see the confusion.
Yeah, exactly. So like it wasn't...
For me, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I get it.
Right. But for anybody who like doesn't know, it's not clear. And I had to explain myself a lot. Well, we're a strength training gym for grapplers. Like we help grapplers get stronger and faster and more mobile.
More matches.
You win more matches, right? Yeah, exactly. And so actually late last year, we did what I think is the final rebrand. We have reached our final form. And so we changed it to Grappling Strength and Performance. GSP rolls off the tongue way better than VSS. VSS sounds weird. And then, it says in the title what we do, right? We're a strength and performance facility for grapplers. Simple.
I was reading a book or listening to a book on tape, and it was like, if people like, you want your logo or your brand, people should know what you do. Just like, even if they're like a caveman, they should look at it and say like, oh, I know this guy helps people get strong, or he helps grapplers get strong, you know?
Yep.
And perform better, right? So that one definitely passes that test, 100%.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, that was...
They call it the caveman test. Like, if they're on your website for 10 seconds, can a caveman tell they know what you're gonna do? They know what you sell?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's how we landed on that, and we streamlined the logo. The bowl we use still as like we'll call it like a third jersey. Sure. So it's like... It's
retro.
Yeah, it's retro, exactly. But it's not like a part of our main like branding kit anymore. So yeah, it was, that's kind of the story of the name and kind of how we landed on what we're at right now. And also, we wanted to be more inclusive to other grapplers because there aren't submissions in every grappling sport. And so, yeah, exactly. And I know there are like some submissions in judo, but obviously not as many, and they're less frequent. And so I didn't want to alienate other grappling sports.
When you use the word submission.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's why I wanted to like shift from the exclusive term to a more inclusive one, just like grappling. Super simple. So if you are a grappling athlete, this is a place for you.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about what you're doing with your business is how targeted your niche is and kind of setting yourself up as the expert in this field, and it shows with like how many people are training with you and how many people are getting stronger over there. Like I see pretty much every single grappler like, oh, he's training with Matt too. Oh, he's training with GSP too. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then you have a lot of cross overlap with some of the students and coaches here at Daruma, and you teach here on Sundays at Daruma. I'm super happy to see what you're doing, man. You're killing it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Then from the warehouse, you moved to the spot?
Yeah, the current location is about 2,400 square feet, so we quadrupled our space.
Like now I gotta fill this stuff up. You're like,
I was like, that's a story in and of itself. It's having to like go through the floor. Actually, I'll share a little bit about the risk. I mean, you understand risk. You open your own business. You have 2 locations now, and so you understand like how risky it can be. I mean, the floor in that place cost 20 grand, and
for the flooring.
For the floor, just the floor.
So you can slam weights.
Like I can't like have a concrete floor. And so
20 grand for the floor.
20 grand for the floor, but the business was not old enough to qualify for a loan, like an SBA loan.
And
so
they like require like 2 years or 3 years.
3 to 5, I think. And at the time I was like 18 months old. So I was like, how am I supposed to do this? And so I do not recommend this. This is not financial advice. This is not business coaching advice. This is not something I would do if I were anybody else. But I had to take out 4 0% APR credit cards.
Let's go.
I maxed all 4 of them out. I paid for the floor with those cards and any other equipment that we needed to like make it work. We didn't go like all out. We just got like 1 more rack and can't remember what else we got on it, but like not a lot.
You have each. You're like, okay, this credit card is for this,
right?
And this credit card is for that. You know, I've done this as well.
And then,
but you have like 6 months, 7 months, depending on the card, where it's 0 APR, right?
It was 12 to 18 months, fortunately.
That's great.
So I had like long 0% interest, and I bet on myself. I was like, I'm gonna pour every extra dollar into paying this off before the interest hits. And we didn't pay a single cent of interest, which was great. And some of them even had like point structures where I could use the points to like pay down some of the debt as well. So that's what I did. Like as I was like paying stuff off, I would get points, and then I'd like take the points and use that as credit. And
this is called leveraging.
Exactly.
You're leveraging the credit. And it worked in your favor. It's a smart move.
But a risky one.
It is.
When the APR is, like 20 points on the other end, 25 points.
This is, in my opinion, that's much better than getting the business loan.
I mean, listen, it worked out.
There's no 0 APR on that.
Sure. Exactly. So it worked out. It's it was a risk, but one that was worth it in the end. Thank you.
Awesome,
Thank you.
Love to hear it.
So that's how we landed in the space we're in now, and then we're in the 5th year of our 5-year lease right now.
The 5th year?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So are you what's the plan now from after the lease is up?
So there are a couple different ways that this could go. The first is, like, ideally, we move into a space that is about 1,000 square feet bigger, and we add mat space to that to that room, and have ample mat space and all of the same like weight room footprint. That way we can have both under one roof, which would be the ultimate end goal, is to have that. And then, so if everything works out the way that I want it to, we find the space, we have the capital, we can like do what we want to do. We move into a little bit bigger space, have jiu-jitsu and strength training under one roof. If for whatever reason that doesn't come to fruition, if there isn't a space available that makes sense for us, then we have a 1-year option on that lease, and I'll sign the 1-year option and then spend the next year, looking. And then if we get to the end of that and still nothing, then I will consider re-upping the lease if our landlord is open to keeping us. I think we've been really good tenants.
Yeah. I think it's in their best interest.
Yeah, it's easy and they know, right? We've never missed a rent payment and everything's been, really good. So, yeah, I mean.
Are you looking somewhere, what area you're looking for? San Jose?
Yeah, I would love to keep it within like 3 to 5 miles of our current location.
Yeah.
Ideal world, I'm spilling my guts here, but if anybody's listening to this and are in commercial real estate, especially in Japantown, that's really where I'd love to be.
Nice.
Is Japantown. There's, from what I can tell, no jiu-jitsu there yet.
Yeah.
And
I might be able to,
okay.
I might have someone that can connect you.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Commercial real estate, but anyways, anybody else listening,
all right.
It's better to have, you should always get more than one opinion.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, I mean, Japantown I think would be super cool. I love it down there. I love the area. I think it fits. It's central to like where our people live already. It wouldn't be too far from where we're currently at. So that's kind of where I have my eyes. But
who knows?
Beggars can't be choosers, and you never know. Yeah.
When I first opened up here, I wanted to be in Cupertino.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, Cupertino, affluent area, nice area, Apple. There's no jiu-jitsu like within like a good radius.
Yep.
But when I got a comprehensive list of commercial real estate for lease, everything else, Cupertino is extremely expensive.
Okay.
Extremely expensive, and nothing really fit what I was looking for size-wise or location. There was some good options, but like I couldn't afford it. And then this spot was that we're at right now, which is also a great location. It centrally located. There wasn't much jiu-jitsu around in this area in Sunnyvale at the time, and it wasn't my first choice, but it was already Aikido place. The place was
perfect.
It was like open space.
Yeah.
They even had mats. So in fact, the mats under this are from the Aikido place, so we're double matted. So
dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's got 3 inches total of mats here.
Cool.
So yeah, like I think that happens in business. You have to be open, and I think I keep that mindset in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like where I have a goal and I have a plan, and that kind of keeps me like focused and like going in a certain direction, but you're never gonna go straight line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah. I try to think about that too for competition too. It's like I have a game plan, but it's a very generalized game plan, because if in the middle of a match something doesn't go as planned, you're gonna be messed up in your headspace.
I so get that. Yeah. I early on, especially less now, I struggle with that. White and blue belt, I'd be like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this.
And then guy pulls guard, you're like, oh shoot,
yeah,
I can't do that takedown I wanted.
Damn it.
Now what?
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, you have to be adaptable. I think like business ownership is a microcosm of, or would it be a macrocosm? Or is jiu-jitsu a microcosm of business? I can't remember. I don't know which way it goes, but it doesn't matter.
Sure.
They represent each other, and you can draw parallels between the two.
Yeah.
For sure.
Man, I wish you success.
Thank you, man.
That's really cool.
Thank you. Well, it's been inspiring to watch Daruma grow. I remember when you opened this location here in Sunnyvale. I remember being here for the grand opening, and just the community and the vibe and everything. Like, it was really obvious that this was going to be a success because of the way you are and the people who follow you. And then obviously seeing you open up a second location in Milpitas, like that's super inspiring to know somebody who's like doing that and operating on that level is super cool. So
thanks, brother.
I appreciate the inspiration.
Yeah. And I know that you have your grappling group that you guys get together a few days a week, and you guys train specifically the CLA ecological style.
Yep.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. I really like love that you come here on Sundays. You bring your group, and the Daruma Dojo crew can come and train. They have that availability, and inspired us to do a couple of we include some of the CLA approach in our evening classes and stuff. So
yeah. Where should I start? Should I start?
Well, I don't know. How did you learn about it? How do you think it started to mesh with grappling? And I know like there's certain players that are really
outspoken about it,
and some on the opposite end, and someone like me who's kind of in the middle, who I can see how everything kind of helps each other.
Sure.
But yeah.
So
how long have you been doing it for?
The seed was really planted when I came out here to work for the Sharks. So when I arrived here, and the Junior Sharks are a USA Hockey model club. And what that means is USA Hockey, the governing body who kind of dictates what the philosophy of the sport is in this country, goes to those model clubs and like the Junior Sharks and says, hey, these are best practices for coaching. This is what we're doing, and this is where we're seeing success. And when I arrived here, they were like, hey, this is how we coach. This is how we want you to think about things. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was all CLA. It was, I saw what they were doing, and we were playing games and not skating around cones and not, doing like dedicated like passing drills or whatever. And I was kind of, I was like, first of all, this looks so fun. Second, where was this when I was growing up? I'd be playing pro hockey if I had if I had been like training like this as long as some of these kids. Because some of these kids, man, at 11 years old were doing things I couldn't even dream of, because they were encouraged to experiment and encouraged to fail and encouraged to like try new things and create new solutions to problems that happen in real time, are dynamic problems, not static ones.
Yeah.
And so that was where the seed was planted. And I
saw the success in the younger generation who was doing this style of training from for years and at a young age.
Yeah. Exactly. And so like I saw that happening. I was fortunate enough to have been like selected to go coach at USA Hockey headquarters in Colorado Springs every summer for a few summers in a row, and really learn from like the head coaches of USA Hockey.
They're the ones that are writing the curriculum or spearheading it.
And
that probably have people that are like actually writing.
Correct. And so they're the ones who like actually went and did the research, and who like read through all of the literature and watched other countries run this and how it worked for them, and then like you said, spearheaded it here in the United States. And so like being on the ice with them, and then they would coach us to coach. So we had like the top 200 kids from Alaska to Texas, many of whom have gone on to play professional hockey. You see them on the ice and you're like, that kid's gonna play pro. Like he's so good.
Yeah.
And so while we're coaching the kids, the coaches are coaching the coaches. And so it's a big development program that happens every summer, and being a part of that was really eye-opening, because the coaches, the USA Hockey coaches, would encourage us to experiment and be like, hey, this is the skill that we want to build, and this is the space that you have.
Yeah.
How would you go about building the skill? Go. And let us iterate, and then they would say, hey, I like this. Here's what's working. Here's where I think it's missing. If we change this rule or constraint, if you will, what happens? And we try it. Oh, that's getting us closer to the thing that we want. And then we could iterate over and over and over until you got a really solid training session, right?
Yeah.
And so then I'd come back here to San Jose and just continue to spread that.
Yeah.
Again,
and at that point, you were not aware like, hey, this is ecological.
Zero
approach.
clue.
Yeah.
Zero clue.
Like, oh, this is a different way of approaching it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely unaware. And for what it's worth, the last thing I'll say, on the hockey side of things here, is the gold medal that the USA team, like the US Olympic team, just won a couple months ago, is a direct result of this approach. Like back in the...
And it was a slow process.
Yeah, it took 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it took 20 years, right? It's like the kids who played, the people who played on that U.S. Olympic team didn't know the old way. They only know this way.
Right.
They only know how to solve problems in real time. They only know how that's just how they grew up. Whereas like, you know, my generation and older, you know, if we want to learn how to pass, you go over there and I go over here and we pass back and forth and, oh, okay, now Alberto and Matt know how to pass, but it's decontextualized from the game, because at no point in the game of hockey, at 0 times, are 2 people standing there with no pressure, nobody trying to take the puck from them, nobody's standing still. Like, that doesn't happen.
And I think you get that in jiu-jitsu a lot, because even, you know, everyone has had that experience where you're like, this doesn't work in real time.
Yeah, yeah.
This arm bar from the mount,
Sure.
I just practiced it like 10 times,
Yep.
and when I go to do it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Because somebody does something different, or their limbs they're shaped differently, or any number of possibilities or variables, you know, that would contribute to it working or not, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So this has been a very slow burn for USA Hockey, and having seen it kind of in the middle of it, I wasn't there at the very beginning, but like being dropped into it in the middle of it and seeing the contrast between the way I was raised and the way these kids were raised on the ice, huge difference. But like you said, I had no clue that that's what they were talking about. Nobody explained the literature to me. Nobody, like, I had no idea. I was just like, oh, this is how they do it now. And so when I started at CTA, and obviously very like traditional approach there, run around, warm up, drill 3 techniques or so, and then either positionals or rolling at the end, right? And I won't get into like a lot of detail. There was a lot more rolling when I first started there, which gave me more room to experiment and like try things or whatever. And as I like progressed and, you know, their business evolved, there was less rolling, and so it just, anyways, I won't go too in depth there, but very traditional approach. Josh Beam, who many of you probably know from the internet, was, you know, my main training partner, is still my main training partner. You know, we have been since 2020. So we were really close. He ended up leaving CTA. He was concerned about how he was going to learn jiu-jitsu if he like didn't have a coach or didn't have a home base. And a local black belt, I can't remember who it was, recommended to him the book How We Learn to Move by Rob Gray. And Rob Gray does a lot of work on the Constraint-Led Approach and how it compares to traditional approaches, and you know, he does like actual research. He's in there like doing real experiments with real athletes on this stuff. And
I think that you recommend that book to me. I listened to it on tape.
It's phenomenal.
And some, it's great. And some of the experiments that he's running are pretty silly. It's like, okay, you got to pass a ball with this. You're balancing this on your head, and you got to pass a ball. So to this, you know. So it was like. I don't know the exact science behind it, but you're trying to develop a skill, but you're putting yourself within certain constraints. Like, okay, my balance. Okay, how can I still do this? Like, if somebody's pushing me while I'm trying to pass a ball or something.
Sure.
But anyways, I just thought that he's doing the research.
Yes.
He's in the lab.
Yes, he is in the lab for sure.
And some of the ways that he's like, hey, you gotta experimenting.
Yes. Yeah. That's totally true. Yeah. You 100% have to experimenting for sure. So. Anyways, Josh starts reading that book, and Josh comes to me one day and he's like, hey, what do you think about this? And he like quotes the book. And I was like, that's USA Hockey.
That's cool.
And then he was like, okay, what about this? And I'm like, verbatim USA Hockey. It's like what they told us at the camp in Colorado Springs. He's like, okay, what about this? And I was like, fuck. Like that's USA Hockey. Like that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. And then I couldn't unsee it. And I was like, how many years ago was that? I know. Yeah. So I mean, so many.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years that I started there. And so, I just once that happened, the light switch turned on, and it just cannot be turned off.
Yeah, it seems like there's a force just kind of pushing you that direction.
Yeah. And so, you know, I lasted, I don't know a few more months at Kaio's before I just couldn't do that anymore. And Josh and I had like started training on our own. We were just like started experimenting, right? We're like, well, I'm having this problem during rolls. How can we build a game that forces me to get good at this thing, right? And the common response is, well, that's just situational training. And situational training is a part of the constraints-led approach. It's all on a continuum. It's all on a spectrum. The thing that separates what most people think of as just situational training is sparring. Or positional sparring, whatever, is typically you say, okay, we're gonna positional sparring, we're gonna start in half guard. Okay, but then there's no rules outside of that other than you just go. And if I don't wanna be in half guard and I push you into headquarters, we're still playing the game, but we're not practicing that skill anymore, right? And that's what would happen to me is I would go with like one of my other main training partners, Carlos, who's his half guard, just super deadly. And whenever we would train together and we would do positional rounds or whatever, or situational sparring from half guard, I would be scared because he would choke me relentlessly every time. And so I got really good at getting him out of half guard. I didn't get good at playing in half guard. I didn't get good at passing the half guard. You see what I mean? Yeah. So that's where the CLA,
you learn, like avoidance there.
Exactly.
Which is a skill.
Which is a skill, sure. Yeah, if somebody's got a really good game and I don't want to be there, you need to learn how to get out of it, for sure. But sometimes you don't have a choice, and you got to get good at doing the thing, even if you're not good at it. And that was something that I avoided, and I think a lot of people do because of our natural human tendencies.
I don't want to lose. I want to do what I'm good at.
Exactly.
I want to win.
and I think the CLA forces you into the gray area and forces you to deal with problems that you don't like dealing with, and does it in a way, like if you build the constraints right, does it in a way that gets you a lot of reps in a very small slice of the game, right? Like if we were playing a half guard game, I mean, what do you try to do from half guard, right? You try to get chest to chest, try to pin them, try to get your leg free, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be in that order, but it can be. And so if you build the game where if the passing player just gets chest to chest, right? So we can like shrink it way down to just like one micro skill, right? Or like now anybody's half guard, I get chest to chest. It doesn't matter how good the half guard is. Like I know that my goal is to get chest to chest and pin them to the ground. Now in any given scenario, regardless of their reaction, which like you said, right, the armbar that you learn from mount and then somebody reacts differently and it doesn't work anymore, right? Now any reaction that somebody is gonna give you, you have an answer for. You know how to solve the problem on the fly versus just trying to memorize a list, right? So that's the idea behind it, and that's kind of how we stumbled upon it. And then I guess to come full circle, that started to pick up a lot of steam. Like you said, there are some people who are kind of spearheading that. Greg Souders obviously being probably the main one. And then, you know, his athletes have had like a lot of success. And
was he all over the internet prior or kind of after you guys were doing your thing?
During.
Same.
Yeah, during. It kind of happened concurrently, I think. I mean, I'm sure he was on the internet before we started. You know, the algorithm, you know, picks up starts to figure out what you like and then starts to feed you more of it. So, you know, I'm sure he was, you know, he's been doing it for a long, long time, and, you know, much longer than any of us. And, yeah, I mean, I think just as that movement started to grow and he started to gain more traction and people started to listen to his debates, if you even want to call them that, you know, more people started to know about it. And then when people start, you know, you go to open mats, people say, where do you train? And then have to have the conversation, like, I don't really train anywhere. I just kind of like do this thing. And then people are like, well, what is that? I'm like, we have this conversation, and then we just add them to the WhatsApp group. And now if they want to come and they want to train like that, that's totally cool. If they don't, also cool.
One thing I like about the CLA or like when you're playing these games, you're not afraid to lose so much. As you are if we're just sparring, and I don't want to get submitted, and you know you have that ego aspect to it, and I don't want to lose to you or if maybe you're a lower belt and I don't want to get tapped out by a purple belt, or a black belt or whatever. But if I'm playing this game in like a kind of a fun environment and the person wins the game, I don't feel as, the ego doesn't hit as hard.
Correct.
It's okay, let's go again. Like,
Yep.
So I think that's great in skill development, because when the ego gets involved and we are avoiding certain people or certain situations with certain people, then you're not going to grow as fast.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I took from it a lot, and I try to like encourage my students as well.
Yeah. The taking the fear factor out of it and the ego out of it is so huge. Right? You have to be okay with, and the funny thing is, that's all stuff that coaches that I've had in the past have told me. They're like, you got to stop being afraid of getting tapped. You got to like try these other things. You can't just like play your A game all the time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But like, how hard is that when when the whole game is available to you, right? The whole game is available and it can go in any given direction.
Right.
How hard is it to rein that ego in? I mean, it takes a special person, I think, to play the whole game that way. And to be cool with just, yep, I'm losing. Not everybody's like that.
Right.
This is very, very rare in my opinion.
They talk about what's his name, Gary Tonin. I hear about him a lot, that he was like that. Like, he would.
Yeah, he didn't tap 100 times.
Yeah, he didn't care.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, like it's this rare case, because I have a big ass ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to lose. And as much as I try to, and as much as I'm over 23 years of jiu-jitsu, like, I was rolling with a blue belt the other day. Marcus, he has a crazy broad applaud. I must have broad applauded him like 20 times.
Yeah.
And I have students watching me get tapped out, and then they're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't care as much anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, I totally still understand. Like, if you and me are gonna roll, and I don't want to get tapped out.
Right. You're same. Yeah.
But if you tap me, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I get rid of it quicker.
Yes.
Like, okay, let's go.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
But I think this is a way to hone that skill in of kind of separating. And you were saying that people they were telling you that, but it was way hard because you had the options to avoid and play your game.
Correct.
Opposed to now I'm stuck in this position in this goal, which forces me to do different things. And chances of my success rate is much lower.
100%.
But you know, I think that's this. When you fail or you mess up, then you learn. Right?
Correct. And and like I said, you're learning how to solve problems, dynamic problems. Like, this is not a puzzle, a static puzzle, right? Like, you dump a puzzle out on the table, puzzle pieces always stay the same shape. They always go in the same spot. They have to. This puzzle is moving. Like, it's somebody making decisions and changing the way they act based on how you're acting. And so to be able to solve that problem in a dynamic scenario or a dynamic situation like that, I think is critical to any sport. Like, it's you know, that's why it's a sport. Yeah.
It's like I played baseball. We hit the ball at the tee, right? And just hit the ball at the tee, and repetitions, right?
Yep.
And so
it's the old school way. But like, how many pitches do you face that are the same? None.
Yeah.
No two pitches are the same. They're all a little bit different, right? You know, the wind might be blowing just a little bit more on one day versus the other day, or the sun, or any number of factors, variables like we talked about, change the way you're going to approach that ball. And so, you know, Rob Gray he works with a lot of baseball players, and you know, he talks about the tee problem, and how there's no decision making involved in hitting a ball off a tee. There's no decision making involved in static drilling, and if there's no decision making involved, then the skill that we think we're building is not really the skill that we're building. And so the skill is solving the problem, right? What is the problem? What are the things that have to be true? What are the things that have to happen for me to get to my next checkpoint or to achieve the next objective, whatever that is? You know, and if you can hone in on what are those things? What are they call them variants. So like, what are the things that are always true? You know, like for instance, to pass the guard, you have to keep somebody on their back. Just like no other way for you to pass the guard other than keeping them on the ground. So you might play a game where like your sole goal is just to keep somebody on the ground, right? Not necessarily to pass yet. And we're not saying that passing the guard is any less important than keeping them on the ground. But if somebody's struggling to like put enough pressure to keep somebody on the ground in the first place, they're never going to pass the guard.
If they can just keep standing up because it gives too much space.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. And so we can take like that little slice. And
I feel very proud of myself because I've been playing that game for a long time. Especially with the kids. I was like, just don't let them stand up. And just stand up. And then I call the game, just stand up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's really simple. I think though.
And jiu-jitsu is simple. Don't get me wrong. That's why I feel that jiu-jitsu is simple, but it's not easy. But it's not easy. Yeah. And then you can definitely overcomplicate it.
Correct. Yeah. It's simple in that the concepts are actually, the list of concepts that are required are actually pretty short, right?
I think there's two main goals in jiu-jitsu.
And those are?
Submit your partner.
Sure.
And don't be submitted.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, yeah.
That's the end goal.
And I guess the way Greg puts this, which I think is really good, is we have to get past, like, how do you submit your opponent, really? Right. Okay, so
then there you go. Now we're starting to branch down from that. Yeah.
Right, but even then, it's really, really simple because all we're trying to do is get past the extremities, arms and legs, to attach to the center mass, and then once we're attached to center mass, attack the periphery again. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the overarching concept that encapsulates everything that we do in jiu-jitsu. Is we have to get past the extremities, attach to center mass, and then re-attack the extremities.
I like that.
Super simple.
I talk about the 5 control points, which is the hips, armpits, and head.
Yep.
Which is essentially the center mass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then I always I talk about the armpit real estate. You have to own the armpit real estate. So and the hip is essentially an armpit of the lower body.
Yeah.
But for me, this is huge. And so whoever owns the armpit real estate is winning.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I like that definition as well.
Yeah. And then to that point, there's no right. I've gotten away from right and wrong. It's only effective or ineffective, right? Does it work? Does it not work? Because we see all the time. You see I'm sure, you can hop on Instagram right now. Somebody is doing some crazy submission that nobody's ever seen before, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. They had to solve a problem in the middle of something that, in the middle of a competition or training session, and they did something that just appeared. It was there.
Yeah.
And it worked. And who are we to say that that's wrong? Because it wasn't the way it was. The easiest,
that's not part of the curriculum.
Right. The easiest case to make for this is the buggy choke. Because there was a time when the buggy choke did not exist. And most people would consider bottom side control an inferior position. But if you're Austin Hart, shout out Austin Hart from the Bay Area, if you're Austin Hart, it's not. And he buggy chokes so many people, and that was him solving a problem, in real time, and making something new out of something that most people would attribute as a negative, right?
Yeah. And people are so attracted to it.
Yeah.
Now everyone wants to buggy choke everybody.
Yeah. And then
I've made 2 people tap out my whole career with a buggy choke.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
I got none.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, then who's the skinniest person? Come here.
But okay, so
I like to play the game percentages. For, how many how many chokes from the back have I gotten? How many collar chokes?
Right.
How many arm bars? Right.
And for everybody, those percentages are going to change.
Right.
Right. Depending on anatomy, depending on their thought processes, their history, they're just right. Those.
This is a general statistic.
Sure.
For everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure Austin probably has more chokes from the back than he does buggy choke. But I only say that to illustrate the point that there is no right or wrong, only effective or ineffective. Right.
I agree.
That's it. And so how I pass the guard, it doesn't matter how. It just matters that I get past the legs. And then, like I said, there are certain things that have to happen in order to do that. If I don't keep you on your back, then it's probably not going to happen. I
think a lot of leg lockers might disagree with you.
Well, they don't
have to pass the legs.
Well, yeah, and that's a whole other thing, yeah. But where I guess I think the common misconception, one that I would like to dispel, is that coaching using the CLA is easy It's like, oh, I'm just going to give them these games and they're going to play the games.
Yeah.
Right? It's actually much more involved and much harder, I think, to do it that way because individualizing feedback based on somebody who's in front of you and tweaking a game to make it work for that person is so much more
it's more involved.
Yeah, it's more involved. It places a lot more, we'll call it administrative load on the coach, right? Because if I can just like show up and say, okay, we're gonna do these 3 techniques and I just gotta memorize the steps, A, B, C, D, E, whatever. Personally, that's easy. I think that's easy. Coming up with a game that helps build a skill and then partner selection, making sure that people are going with people who are kind of like skill, or if they're not like skill, how do you challenge the more skilled person so that the game is playable by both people? So for instance, the other day we were playing and we had a black belt and a white or blue belt or whatever. And the black belt was absolutely crushing the white belt. We were just playing a passing game and he was just like passing over and over and over and over. So obviously that's not helpful for either of them, right? Because black belt obviously it's way too easy for him, and the white belt it's so hard he can't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, black belt, you can only use one hand. You can never touch him with 2 hands at a time. You can only touch him with 1 hand. You can touch him with both hands, like you use both hands, but never twice, never 2 points.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's a little harder, but he's still kind of passing a lot. Okay, now let's take away both hands. Can you pass with no hands? Because if you pass with no hands, right, you could pass anybody with 2 hands. Yeah. And then for the white belt, now he doesn't have to deal with the hands,
just the legs.
And he can only deal with the legs, and then now he's seeing more success. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So doing that in a big class setting is the challenge, right? Where you see maybe the game that you originally came up with is like working perfectly for these 2 over here, but for these 2 over here, there's a disconnect. There's something that needs to be changed, right? And that's where the challenge lies. And so yeah, like you said, I think it's more involved and it takes more brain power, more administrative load to really have it work for everybody in the room.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have like I like to give space to the students and let them kind of figure things out. I don't want to be too overbearing or overloading. But when I'm like watching the students roll, I make a point to give like one suggestion to like each person rolling. Just a suggestion. Hey, watch their armpit or watch the crossface or watch your balance and just one thing, right? Because I don't want to, I don't want to give too much information.
I think that's really smart. Yeah, I think that's really smart because I'm sure we've both been in situations where whoever's coaching you is just giving you too much.
Grab the collar deep in the go for the balloon sweep, and then if he does this, put your hand there. It's like
that's not how sports are played. It's just not. It's just not, and it's so much easier to say that when you're not in it and you're not like feeling what's going on.
But I think there's a certain type of people. Actually, I was actually just listening to something on the way here, which was kind of similar to this. Is that we have 2 types of vision. The peripheral vision and then like our whatever acute vision. I don't know what they call it, but like that's the one that but a lot of people are so focused on this, right? So they want the exact formula. Like I can't do an arm bar unless I know exactly how it works. You know what I mean? Like I need to know the perfect steps to do it, right? And so a lot of students, hey, like, is this right? I was like, well, it could be right.
Did it work?
Yeah, right. So, and more generalized answers opposed to like specific answers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as like the CLA is concerned, what that plays to is the invariance, right? Like, how does an armbar work, really? And without giving steps, you have to control the shoulder, you have to control the wrist, and you have to bend the elbow in a way that the opposite way that it goes, right? If you don't control the shoulder or the wrist, it's going to be really hard to armbar anybody. How you control the shoulder and wrist can change, right? Because I think we've all been taught at one point or another not to ever cross your feet when you're like applying an armbar.
Right.
That's like a really common thing.
Yeah.
Tainan does that all the time.
Yeah, a lot of black belts.
A lot of black belts do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because what's happening? Ultimately, they're controlling the shoulder and they're keeping the other person's head and shoulders pinned to the mat. And if they do that, then the armbar is almost inevitable. So is it wrong that they're doing it? No. Right? It's working. They're satisfying the conditions that have to be met in order to armbar somebody.
Yeah.
That is control the shoulder, control the wrist, keep them pinned to the ground, right? If they can like swim around and roll around, it's going to be way harder for you to finish. And so, yeah, I mean, like this all just comes back to the how is unimportant, the what is important, right? Are you controlling the shoulder? Are you controlling the wrist? Are you bending? Are you extending the elbow? And then the mode, the method that you use is less important, right? Just that you are satisfying those conditions, and that was the real aha moment for me. It was like, oh, actually, because I would find myself, I know we've talked about this before, but like I would find myself in competition and I'd have this like list of techniques in my head. I'd be like, okay, this is what I do if this happens, and this is what I do if this happens. But like somebody reacted differently than I thought. I can think of a very specific time where somebody did something that was not in the curriculum as a thing, and I was like, to myself, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. But then he won. Yeah. It's like, was it wrong that he did that? No, I just didn't know how to deal with the problem, and so ever since like shifting to this way of training, I feel like my ability to solve problems is much more agile. Like I can think through issues. I can think through issues quicker and with more, we'll call it grace, rather than just like, oh no, I don't know the next thing. I don't know the technique to beat this thing, right? Like I just know I gotta put my feet back inside. Like if somebody's passing my guard, and I don't have them between my legs or my legs in between theirs, I'm in huge trouble, and it doesn't matter how I do it. I just gotta get my feet back there, and then I will solve that problem.
Yeah, not so much like specific details.
Right. Yeah. Put your knee here. Put your foot here.
Yeah. I need to get back to my
curl your toes.
Guard.
Yeah. Just like, okay. I just know I gotta get my feet back. If my feet are touching somebody, this is another invariant, right? Like if I'm playing guard and my feet are touching somebody, chances are I'm okay, right? If my feet are not touching you, that's a problem.
That's what I tell some of the students. Like, there's some rules that I have, and I think this kind of comes into line. And some of them have a hard time to get it, but some, like one of my rules is if my feet are on you, you can't pass the guard.
Correct.
Impossible.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you're in between my legs, you can't pass the guard. It's impossible, right? Then that's my kind of like couple of two kind of cues if I'm playing guard. Oh shoot, my feet are no longer. I gotta get my feet back on you, or I have a game that I call keep them in your sight. This is my sight. Yeah. You gotta stay inside my sight the whole time, no matter where you go. The second you get out of my sight, it's all bad.
That's great. That's brilliant. That's what it is. For sure.
Another one on top is, if my hips are over your hips, you can't sweep me.
Okay. Yeah.
If my head's over your head, you can't sweep me.
Right. I've got to get your head.
Yeah.
On
your
either
head
side.
has to. You can't sweep me from here.
Yeah.
You have to do this. So if I'm on top, sometimes it's all I think about. Keep my hips. And sometimes it can be my head over your hips, or my head over your head, or my hips over your hips, or my hips over your head. So these are the two call points for me.
Yep.
And then, but people get that reaction like, what do you mean? Yeah, they sweep me all the time. I was like, yeah, they did, but your hips are no longer over their hips. So like, if you feel that, then you need to make an adjustment to bring the hips back over the hips.
Right.
Or head over the head, so.
Exactly. And like, what's the technique for that? There isn't one.
I have students that get mad.
Yeah.
Like, wait, but I guess what, so I was like, I get it, but like, just focus on this, I think this will help you. And then, how can you do that? I don't know. Like maybe let's try some ideas. Okay, maybe this grip, maybe this position, maybe this foot, maybe this knee on the ground. You know?
Yeah, 100%. That's totally it.
Yeah,
that's totally it. I'd say like, in that same vein, like what I've been focusing on a lot lately when I'm playing guard is getting the top players' hands to touch the mat. Because if I can get their hands to touch the mat, I can do several things. I can stand up. So if their hands are touching the mat, they're not touching me, right? If they're not touching me, then I can do what I want and they can't do what they want. So if it doesn't matter the guard. It could be De La Riva, reverse De La Riva, butterfly, whatever. If I can get their hands to touch the mat, I'm probably in pretty good shape. And then I can either get up Or if they do the right thing and not keep their hands on the mat, because if your hands are on the mat,
you said right thing.
Well, okay. Sure. If they do, if they do the ineffective thing, if I'm going to say, because the ineffective thing would be to keep your hands on the mat and just stay there. Because if you do that, then the bottom player can get up. So if they are effective and get their hands off the mat, then that opens sweep opportunities. And then obviously there are like submissions that are along both paths or whatever. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that's very similar, right? In putting their hands on the mat, their head is no longer above my head, their hips are no longer above my hips.
They're tilting.
They're tilting, they're like,
in most cases.
They're putting their weight on their hands, which means their legs are lighter.
Unless you're Joseph Chen doing flow passing.
So
there's variations, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so but I think what you're saying is huge. I think that is in your favor like 85% of the time. And I always thought about that too, because like you see black belts, like the second your hand goes on the mat, maybe it's like I'm forcing you to put your hand on the mat, right? Opposed to me putting it on purpose.
Correct. Yeah, like Joseph Chen putting his hand on the mat
above your head
is a choice. Is a choice, and he's doing something else to stop you from imposing your will, which is keeping your shoulders flat to the mat, right? Because that's another thing. Like if you keep somebody's shoulders flat to the mat, they can't sweep you. Yeah. It's gonna be really hard because somebody's got to be able to turn and twist and stuff. So like, yeah, there are caveats to that.
But I put my hands on the mat all the time. But
you choose to.
I'm choosing to.
That's fine.
And in most cases, I think it's beneficial to have it on the partner.
Right.
But there's probably like I don't know. I make percentages up all the time. I would say 85% of the time it's probably better to be on the partner. But then there's another 15% of the time for me, right, where when I do underhooks and half guard, I usually don't grab them. I usually have my hand on the ground.
Okay. Yeah.
In most cases.
But again, you chose that.
Yeah.
If they forced you to put, that's probably an issue.
They're one step ahead of me.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm getting after there. Is like if I can force somebody to put their hands on the mat, then chances are I'm going to get something out of it.
You might have said that. I probably didn't hear it.
All good. I maybe missed it, but in any case, yeah, I think it's a very similar concept. Ultimately, just trying to like get their head not above my head, or their hips not above my hips. Or whatever.
Yeah. And the second that happens, good things. Once you start tilting, then you can move. And
things start to open up.
So we have a few more minutes, but there's a question I wanted to ask, like, because I know, I saw like a lot of debate on the WhatsApp group about the CLA for judo, and I was talking with Professor Noah here, right? Because I have an opinion. Yeah. And Professor Noah, I think he chimed in with something, and there was a long debate. I didn't read anything.
Yeah,
because
neither did I. It was it was a lot for me. I was like, I need the TLDR.
But in my opinion, if CLA doesn't work for judo, it doesn't work.
If CLA doesn't work for judo, it doesn't work. I think CLA works for everything.
That's my opinion. That if some people are trying to, then we're just saying judo in general, but like if it's a learning tool, it should work for any athletic endeavor.
And I would posit that it does.
Does it? So, and then my follow-up question is this: does it work for strength training?
Yeah.
And how do you apply it in your training?
Yeah,
if you do.
That's a great question. Yeah. So, sure.
Because like, you got to learn a technique how to do a squat, right?
Yep.
Or do you?
But
I just have to put it on my back, and so it's a different challenge.
Yep. So I see where you're headed with this, and I understand I understand. So yes, we use the CLA all the time in strength training. I'll start by saying everybody has different body dimensions, has different physiology, has different capacity for action, right? Some people have deeper athletic backgrounds and therefore have like a more varied athletic experience and have more options available to them than others do. And on the other side of the spectrum, there are some people who have come to us who are not athletes at all. They've never done anything athletic in their whole entire life, and they don't have an athletic bone in their body. And we've got to like try to find a way to meet them where they're at, right? So that's the first thing I'll say, is everybody's shaped differently, both mentally, emotionally, physiologically, And so every squat that is performed or every deadlift that's performed in our building is going to look different from person to person. Accept that, right? The biggest example, or maybe the easiest example to give is maybe that of like a long femored person, right? Where the squat pattern typically involves a lot more like trunk flexion, where they like go forward more because their femurs are so long, they have to lean forward in order to counterbalance themselves. Yeah. Right, they're trying to keep the weight above their heels.
But I bet some people look at that and like, that's not a correct squat because your back is you're not back straight.
Right, and so what we might do if we wanted to, first of all, it's not wrong to squat that way because if somebody's got long femurs and they have the ankle mobility to do it, squat that way all you want. Like that's totally fine. It's not gonna. The only way you get hurt is by loading the tissue more than it can handle. So, like maybe in a way where you're not focused enough on what am I trying to say? Well, human tissue breaks down when the force exerted upon it exceeds its ability to absorb or create an equal amount of force, right? And so use that accordingly, right? Like if somebody's never squatted before and I put 300 pounds on their back, obviously they're gonna get fucking hurt, right? Wouldn't do that.
No technique is gonna save them.
Sure, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter how good their technique is. They could like squat body weight all they want. If they've never ever squatted with weight on their back and you put too much on there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So load management is really important, obviously, and load is a constraint, right? And so just changing the load is a part of the CLA. The other thing you can do is like add a lift to their heels, right? You add a lift to their heels, now they're able to stay a little bit more upright and you're able to like target different musculature, right? So that's another way. So you can use like physical constraints. Another example would be like for the deadlift. Sometimes people's knees travel way too far forward and we might just put a physical barrier in front of their knee and say, hey, like just try not to touch my hand, right?
Gotcha.
That's a constraint, right? That is the constraints-led approach. I'm giving them a thing that they have to work around in order to achieve the right thing or the optimal thing or the most effective thing, right? We'll say. But even within that, it's going to look a little bit different from person to person, and that's okay. So we totally use the CLA all the time in what we do. We have an objective, and there are certain invariants, like you have to stress a tissue. You have to achieve a certain amount of stress to the tissue for the tissue to change, right? And without that stress, the tissue it's not motivated to make any change. Like if I pick up a 5-pound dumbbell and I lift it 5 times, unless I'm exceptionally weak, my bicep isn't gonna grow because I haven't pushed the tissue close enough to its max capacity. I have to lift something heavy enough so that my body at the end of that set or workout or whatever is like, hey, he's trying to lift something that's a little bit heavier than we're used to. We're gonna need to lay down more muscle tissue there to accommodate, to change, so that next time he does that, it's a little bit easier. Yeah, you start adapting, exactly. Same thing with speed. You have to move fast if you want to get fast. You can't just like move kind of slow or at submaximal speeds all the time if you intend to improve your speed. Same thing with mobility. You have to move through a full range of motion at high enough intensities in order for the body to say, hey, it needs more space in this joint capsule. Those are the invariants. Then how we do it, that's the CLA, right? It's, okay, well, this person doesn't have enough hip mobility to get into like a 90-90 position with their butt on the ground. Like this would be considered like a lot of internal rotation on my hip. So maybe we start them sitting down, right? On like a bench and just working on just the part that they have right now, right? So that's how the CLA plays into strength training is really meeting them where they're at and adjusting accordingly so that you can achieve those invariable objectives.
And it becomes very personalized. Yeah. Especially what you're doing as a personal trainer, as helping people individually. And I think that's when you bring it back to jiu-jitsu, that's where the challenge is as a coach, because everyone's different.
Correct.
And how can I create a lesson plan that's going to benefit the majority of people, but also have that awareness throughout the class to help those that are different or struggling.
Yeah, and that's where
really cool.
like we have so to that point, we have a framework, a skeleton, if you will, that, okay, we've got these buckets that we're trying to fill: mobility, speed, power, strength, conditioning, whatever. So everybody has the same skeleton roughly.
Right.
But what we put in those buckets is going to change depending on the person, depending on how they present, depending on how they walk in that day. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, everything is individualized for the person in front of the coach. And, you know, I think just to your point, that is how the CLA plays into strength training.
Nice. If people want to train with you, let's say they want to train jiu-jitsu and they want to do some CLA with you, where can they find you?
So for CLA stuff, we have the Eco Gang WhatsApp group, which isn't publicly available, but just message me on Instagram. I'll add you to the group.
What's your Instagram tag?
My personal Instagram handle is openmat.gsp, and the gym, the strength training gym, is grapplestrong.sj on Instagram. So you can contact me through either of those, and then. If anybody's interested in like CLA stuff, just ask about the Eco Gang. And then if anybody's interested in strength training, you can either go to our website, grapplestrong.com, and then there's a button for free strategy sessions. We just talk to you about goals, medical, injury history, schedule, budget, all that stuff, make sure that we're the right fit. And then from there, we get a custom program made and everything, so.
And I love how you're obviously combining both, right? You're combining the jiu-jitsu, you're combining the strength training, and it's what you do for a living, and it's your business, right? So we're gonna have an event here, which is kind of combining the both. We're gonna get some grapplers together. We're gonna do some jiu-jitsu. We love this. Let's roll, and we're going to give. We're doing an open mat fundraising open mat fundraiser for the. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So at GSP, we have a lot of grapplers who train at different academies, and we see each other in the weight room all the time, but we don't necessarily get to train together. And so the idea was, well, let's find a place where all of these people, these GSP athletes can train together. And so we started hosting open mats at friendly locations. People who, we work with either directly or peripherally, and it's been a huge hit. We've done a couple of them so far. We did one at BAME, and then we did one here 6 weeks ago, almost 5 weeks ago. And people have so much fun. It's such a blast, and we've started opening it up to the host gym members, so the host gym members can get involved as well and come train with other like-minded folks. And this time around, what we're doing is we're partnering with Guardian Gym. They're doing a lot of good work in South America and Asia and kind of all over the world to bring jiu-jitsu to underprivileged youth. And so this time around, instead of free admission to all GSP and Daruma athletes and friends and family, it's $25 at the door. 100% of the proceeds go to Guardian Malaysia, and they're gonna bring jiu-jitsu to youth athletes there to try to get kids off the streets. These are and oftentimes orphans, refugees, people who would otherwise never have access to training, and to try to better their lives through jiu-jitsu, which I know you and I both can attest to. Being a product of that. Jiu-jitsu has made my life so much better, and to bring that to somebody who otherwise wouldn't be able to is really important. So
100%. So that would be April 19th?
April 19th, 2 to 4 p.m. We have obviously the charity, but then everybody who shows up gets a raffle entry. Raffle entry, first prize is a 30-day VIP pass at GSP. Second prize is $100. Third prize is $50. And then we've got a special prize. We got one of our members, Dr. Howie Chang of Golden Gate Chiropractics, is offering a free new patient exam, so people can come in and have him take a look and see how he can help. So yeah, we've got lots of prizes. We're always trying to expand what we can give back to the people who come and hang out at the open mat. So it's super fun.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hit up Matt, train some eco, get strong, do some strength training, and we'll see you at the open mat so we can train and do all together at the April 19th.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Good job.
Appreciate you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Hell yeah.
Cool.